With Renegades right around the corner, I wanted to do a series leading up to it, going over the best builds for each class and subclass. If you're a new or returning player, I really hope these videos can help get you started, as some of these builds are pretty crazy now. All of these builds are going to be made so you can use whatever weapons you would like to, but I will go over some recommendations that fit with each subclass. On top of that, these builds are not going to be taking advantage of any artifact perks, so you have a clean slate once Renegades launches. I am going to be recording these builds ahead of time, so if any patches come out to change this around, I will update the description down below. As a final note, there are a lot of great builds in Destiny, so if you have one that's similar to this one or even better, definitely be sure to drop it in a comment down below. Again, as this series is to give a place for new returning players to get back into the game a lot quicker. So with all that being said, if you enjoy, learn anything new, and are excited for Renegades, consider doing all the normal YouTube stuff. All of the support is what allows me to make series like this for you all, and I truly appreciate all the love that you show. But without further ado, let's jump into today's build. All right, everyone, the second build in the series is going to be none other than the Prismatic Titan. Now, it probably comes to no surprise, this is going to be a melee consecration setup, and even though this has got nerfed, it's still in the best build series, and it still performs very, very well. Now, to start off with the exotics, first off, you're going to want to go with a stoicism, if you can get one, with Spirit of Endless Light, so using the ability empowers the other two abilities, granting them improved energy regeneration, and then you also want Spirit of Synthesis, so improved melee damage when you're surrounded. So essentially with this, you're going to have more melee damage, and you're going to be able to spam abilities a lot more often. Now, I know if you're a newer player, you may not have this, so if you want to try to get something like Synthesis, this basically is just going to grant you melee damage just like the class item, but you also get super damage when you are surrounded. So you're just being surrounded, which you're going to be anyway because you're meleeing enemies. You're going to get more melee damage, which is great. Now, Worm God's Crest is going to be your other option. So whenever you defeat a target with a melee, you're essentially going to stack up more melee damage. So at the beginning, this is just decent, but once you get all the stacks up, you can do some crazy melee damage. Either of these will work if you can't get the class item, but I would definitely recommend getting the Stoicism because Endless Light makes it very, very nice to spam your abilities. But talking about abilities, let's jump into the subclass. And first off, you are going to want to run Consecration, obviously. So while sliding, activate your charge melee ability to launch a wave of solar energy forward, damaging and scorching targets in front of you as you leap into the air. While airborne, activate your charge melee again to slam to the ground and create a second large wave of damaging solar energy. If this wave hits a scorched target, they ignite. So now what this is doing is when you slide, as you can see in the bottom left, you will actually get a different melee ability. You can essentially just slide, slam down, and then ignite because you did hit him with the double solar wave. It's extremely easy to do. It's disgusting at damage, and this is just going to be the core aspect of the build, and we can build around that. Now, for the next aspect to play into that, it is actually going to be knockout. So critically wounding a target or breaking their shield infuses your melee attacks with arc energy, increases your melee range and damage for a short time. Defeating targets with melee attacks makes you amplified and restores a portion of your health. Defeating more powerful combatants increases the amount of health restored. So this aspect is disgustingly strong with this, because now every single consecration kill you get, it's going to heal you and also make you amplified. If you don't know, amplify is going to give you a move speed increase with the sprint booster. It's going to give you damage reduction, and it makes enemies shoot you less. So if you're playing a very aggressive melee build, it's nice to have this, and you will have it permanently because you're always getting melee kills. Now, the other benefit is that's going to get increased melee range damage whenever you critically wound a target or break their shield. This is very nice for your base melee because you can essentially just kind of get your arc infused punch here to do a lot more damage. This will count as a normal melee ability. As you can see, I'm making orbs pretty much everywhere. And this will also heal you and make you amplified. So your normal melee is honestly also pretty good with the setup as well, if you do run out of consecrations, which will usually never happen. Now, the way we can further increase this, because it is going to be a very aggressive build, is going to be with faster protection. So whenever you're surrounded by combatants, you will be more resistant to incoming damage. This is just great for some extra damage reduction, since you're going to be in the thick of it all the time. Now, next up is going to be Facet of Purpose. So picking up an overpower grants a bunch of benefits to whatever super that we are running. So depending on the super, you will get benefits. We typically will always run a stasis super, so we will get Frost Armor, which is going to give us even more damage reduction, which will stack on top of Amplified, and we're going to make orbs all the time, so you will always be able to pick this up to proc this. Now, our next fragment is going to be Facet of Blessing. So melee final blows to start health regeneration, and for Transcendent, it will give health regeneration to nearby allies as well. This is obviously very good for your survivability too. You're going to get a nice chunk of health with knockout, and now you're also just going to start your healing. So if you're not taking damage, you will just heal to full, which is great. And then finally, it is going to be Facet of Courage, so your Arc, Soul, and Void abilities will deal increased damage to enemies affected by darkness debuffs. Now, this is really good because it makes your Consecration do even more damage than it already is, and you can get darkness debuffs from pretty much anything in the game: weapon perks, artifact perks depending on what they are, renegades, but obviously with your subclass as well, with things like a grenade, even frenzy blade can apply sever. But the main thing is going to be when you are in transcendence. This whole build is based on getting transcendence as fast as possible, and this is going to make it so you can spam your consecrations a lot more often, but also you get the electrified snare grenade. So this gives you a grenade that can suspend targets and jolt targets, and since suspend is going to be a straight debuff, that will let you do more damage to the suspended targets with Fast of Courage, and also the jolt's just nice for added there. So this is going to work. You build your transcendence up, you can pop it, and then you can start throwing this grenade, and as you see, it will suspend targets, and now you're going to be doing more damage to them because of Fast of Courage. And since you are transcendent, you're going to get your ability regen with Inmost on your class item. You're going to get it even faster as well, and you can kind of just spam these abilities over and over again without really having to stress too much. And you could just do a ton of damage and kill everything, especially with increased melee damage, the healing from Amplified, the healing from your other fragment. You're pretty much unkillable, and it's just so strong. And for the abilities with this build, kind of like I mentioned, you typically want to take Glacial Quake with this because it's a very strong super, and you get Frost Armor from Facet of Purpose. Again, pairing that with Knockout, you are just extremely tanky with everything else paired in the build. It's absolutely disgusting. But if you want to take something like Thunder Crash, it's obviously still pretty good. Thunder Crash can play into Facet of Courage or even things like Twilight Arsenal. It is worth noting that with Thunder Crash, if you do take it, definitely take off Facet of Purpose because you're already going to be amplified with Knockout, but you will get Void Overshield to something like Twilight Garrison. Even Blade Fear is good because you will get Woven Mail, even Hammer of Souls decent because you get Restoration. Maybe not the strongest compared to all the other ones, but literally any super will work. They're all very good, but I would highly recommend Glacial Quake. Now for your class building, I would recommend Thruster because it has the smallest cooldown. You can kind of just get into engagements faster. But if you want a more defensive option, you can go Rally, Tower, and Barricade. Totally up to you. I just prefer Thruster. This is going to play into some of our armor mods as well. Now for the melee, like I already mentioned, we are going to be taking Frenzy Blade, but mainly this is just because you get 3 melee charges, which means 3 consecrations. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then for the final thing is just the grenade. You can honestly run whatever grenade you want to. Shackle Grenade's honestly a pretty good option because again, this will count as a darkness debuff, kind of keeps targets in place to hit with the consecration, kind of like your Transcendence Grenade. But I like the Glacier Grenade because you can kind of make a wall for defense. You can also just do a ton of shower damage. It builds up darkness energy extremely quick compared to something like the Shackle Grenade. So that's why I end up going with the Glacier Grenade. All right, jumping into the armor, and don't judge me, I don't have that many tier 5s on my Titan. I'm using a bunch of old armor because most of the time that I've played has been on my Warlock, but I still want to get these builds out and show them all for y'all. And also this kind of shows you don't really even need tier 5s. You kind of run whatever and still do very well. But jumping into stats, first off, you're obviously going to want to scale your melee up as much as possible. So I would recommend to get this to 200. I don't have it at mine quite yet, but this is going to give you more consecration damage, more base melee damage, more consecration recharge rate. It is going to be very good. The next stat I would worry about is definitely going to be super, because you will be able to get your super quite a lot with this. So you want to get to at least 100 to get the maximum super energy gains. And again, you're going to be able to just kind of be aggressive with consecration, then be able to pop your Glacier Quake, and you can kind of do this back and forth. Now for the third stat, I would recommend health, and since most brawler armor will just come with melee and health, this is going to be very good, because now whenever you pick an orb up, you will heal. Pairing that with things like Fast of Purpose to give you the Frost Armor, picking up orbs is going to be very beneficial, so you pretty much just become unkillable. Now if you don't like health, you could opt in to take like a Paragon type of armor here, so you can get more class ability, so you can spam your Thruster a lot more often, because this will play into some of our armor mods. But in all honesty, I just think getting melee health and super is probably your best way to go, and that's what I would look out for if you are trying to get specific stats. And then if you have anything left over, you could throw it into grenade, because you can get your grenade back a little quicker to throw some more glacier grenades. But jumping into the armor mods, this is what I'm running if you would like to copy them down. But starting off with the helmet, first off, I do take a special ammo finder just because I use my special ammo a lot. We're going to be building up a lot of darkness energy with our special weapon. Now if you want to take this off, you totally can. The reason I don't like to double up on these mods over here is because they have such high diminishing returns. I would rather just take something else, but if you want to double up on them, you totally can. But talking about those mods, we are going to be running Dynamo and Hands On. So these are very good. So Dynamo is going to make it so you get super energy when you use your class beating your targets. This is very good with your Thruster. And then also Hands On, so whenever we get a melee kill, we will get bonus super energy. Consecration, we're going to be getting melee kills all the time, so we're going to have crazy amount of super energy gains with these two mods. Again, if you want to double up, you can. I just don't really think it's necessary with the diminishing returns, but that is totally up to you. Now next up for our arms, definitely take triple heavy-handed. So this is going to make it so every time you get a powered melee kill, it will spawn an orb power. As you saw earlier, your consecration, you're going to get orbs every single time you get a kill with it. But the cool part, kind of like I showed earlier as well, since the knockout will count as a power melee if you get it to proc, this will also make orbs. So you can kind of just run up, punch, and since you are so close to the enemy, you're going to pick the orb up immediately, granting that health because of your health stat, granting faster purpose for the frost armor, and even some other things that we'll get into in a second. Now for the chest piece, just always go through this mods, just obviously swap these out for the content that you are going into. And then for our boots, I do like taking absolution and then double recuperation. Now the reason I run double recuperation right now is because I don't know if it's bugged, but you do just get an insane amount of health compared to if you were just running one. I'm pretty sure you actually get the same amount if you were running triple recuperation just with two. So pairing double recuperation with a high health stat means you're basically gonna be able to pick an orb up and just heal to full. I'll kind of show it off here. Let me make an orb. All right, so we have an orb down there. We'll get down to literally the lowest health we can get to, just so you can see how much health we get with all this combined together. As you see, literally picking up one orb, you pretty much heal to full. And since you're making orbs all the time because of triple heavy-handed, you're pretty much unkillable. Like, you just constantly picking these up over and over again. You can also pick teammate orbs up as well. It is just so good. Now for the other mod on the boot, I do take an absolution so I can reduce the cooldown of all my abilities when I pick an orb up. Again, kind of the same concept here, but if you don't want to take absolution, you could take something like invigoration to get more melee energy. I just like absolution because it kind of helps you refill your class ability as well, which is going to be very nice paired with our other mod that's going to be powerful attraction. So automatically collects more orbs power whenever you activate your class ability. So now all those orbs you're making, if you can't pick them up, you can essentially now just use your class ability here and you will just scoop it up from far away. So that is very nice to have. And since you're taking something like absolution, you can spam that a lot more often. Now for the other two mods, it's just going to be proximity ward. So when we go for a finisher, you'll get a powerful overshield. This is super good for a very aggressive build because if you're ever weak, you can just kind of go for a finisher, get the overshield, you're not going to die. But then also special finishers, so whenever you finish a target, we will make special ammo if we do have max armor charge stacks. Very good because again, you are going to be using your special weapon a lot to build darkness energy. And like I said in the last video, this is kind of the holy trinity. You have survivability, you have utility, and you have ammo. Pretty much everything you want in these mods. It all synergizes extremely well with this build, and it is just so good. Now the topic of weapons, like I said in the beginning, this is built so you can use whatever weapons you want to. So depending on whatever is in the current artifact, you can swap it out depending on whatever's current meta. Now I will mention that it is going to be extremely nice if you do have a way to build darkness energy as fast as possible, because with consecration you're going to get light energy extremely quick. You don't really have to worry about it, but darkness energy is what kind of lacks a little bit. So mint retrograde is a very good option. It's one of the best weapons in the game right now. You can build darkness energy up pretty quick. But if you do have a area now, if you have something like lost signal from back in the day, I know it's not a new gear bonus or anything, but it's still very good with this. You can build darkness energy extremely quick with area denial from grenade launchers. And if you got something like a festival flight, it's also very good. This can roll with a perk called Blast Distributor to basically buff your grenade stat, which is very nice because you can essentially just get to 100 grenade, which is super good. And it also has something like attrition orbs, so you can make even more orbs to play into all the health stat. So Festival Flight probably best in the slot. Auto loading is great with lost signal, but you get so much more utility with the Festival Flight. But again, if you don't have either of them, just get a mint retrograde. It's one of the best weapons in the game, and it's also still very good at building darkness energy up. And if you're unsure what I'm talking about when I'm saying building energy up, essentially if you have Transcendence, you'll have 2 bars on your super, and you can just kind of do damage, and you will just slowly build up the energy to proc Transcendence. I know most of you probably know what this is, but again, this guide is for new players as well. So if you don't know what that is, essentially just want to get those bars filled up, kind of like your super between light and dark. And then you can pop your crazy Transcendence ability, you get your grenade and all your ability to reach in, which is disgustingly strong. Now the final thing to note is armor sets. Which armor sets should you look out for if you're trying to go for this specific build? First off, Aeon Adapter 2-piece is pretty good because if you're running something like a area denial grenade launcher, you can proc this, you can get reduced incoming area effect damage. More damage reduction is obviously very good. The next one I would definitely recommend is going to be the 2-piece smoke jumper set. So whenever you pick up an orb power, you get some rapid decaying damage reduction. It lasts for like 2 seconds, but you get even more damage reduction on top of everything else. And again, you're making orbs all the time like we showed earlier. You can pretty much have this up permanently. It is very good. Even the 4-piece, if you want to go for a 4-piece, if you go for a finisher, you'll get some special ammo progress and some health. Since you gotta be in the thick of it, when you can go for finishers pretty easily. That's also very good. But even like a 2-piece from the Trials armor set, so whenever you pick up ammo brick, it can heal you. This is nice because you will kind of have ammo everywhere with special ammo finisher. And in all honesty, for armor sets, that's pretty much all I recommend. I think there should be an honorable mention for something like the Collected Psyche here. So if you get the 4-piece, it will actually make your suspend effects last longer, which is pretty cool. But if you use the 4-piece of this, you are going to be missing out on like the smoke jumper set or the Aeon Adapter here. So you know, if you want to go for it, you can, but you can make your suspend last longer with your Transcendence Grenade, which is pretty cool. Now for the final part of the build, this is the Transmog I am going for. Obviously, it's very similar to the Warlock Transmog. I went for just, you know, the pink Transcendence look here. I went for a very like aggressive, I guess, pointy Titan look. I don't exactly know. Overall, I think it turned out looking pretty cool, and I took advantage of one of the new Stoicism, you know, ornaments. So if you want to make your Titan look like this, definitely be sure to copy it down. But all right, that is going to do it all for this build. Let me know what you all think about it down in the comments below. I know this build has gotten nerfed in the past, but it is still legitimately one of the strongest builds in the game. Honestly, maybe not the strongest Titan build, which we'll have a video coming out pretty soon about that one, but just kind of as an overall all-around build, I think this probably is still going to be the strongest Titan build you can play. It just covers everything. You have insane survivability, you have insane act clear, you have insane damage, you have insane super regen. All of that just kind of plays together and it makes you an absolute machine. It's a ton of fun to play. It's not too reliant on anything specific. Again, I would recommend getting a Stoicism if you can, but if you don't have it, Set the Subs and Word Gods will also work extremely well. It's not locked to any artifact perks. You can use this literally wherever you want to, and the only rule requirement is just to be able to build your Transcendence as much as possible, so you could spam your Transcendence all the time to constant spam abilities and have your Suspend Grenade. But I think that is going to do it all for me. I really hope you all enjoyed. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.